Mother, good evening.
Jonathan! Is it you? Where have you been, my prodigal son?
I'm right here, Mother. I'm finally home.
Yes, for this son of mine was dead and is alive again. He was lost and now found. But where is your sister? Where is Mary?
Mary? She is gone, Mother.
I know she's gone. The question is, when will she return as you have? I miss my grandson so much. It's been days since their last visit.
Mother, do you know what's been going on in this area?
Not really. I don't go out much due to the epidemic, and when I do, I tend to get lost.
What do you mean you get lost? I hope you don't go outside alone.
Of course not. When I go out, your father always comes with me, but he leaves me there sometimes, and I have trouble finding the way back.
Have you returned to Whitechapel Cemetery since Mary's funeral?
I never want to go back to that awful place. Wait. I think I went back once. And you were there too. And Mary? No, that can't be true.
It was just a bad dream, Mother.
A nightmare, yes. Mary was so angry. I walked back home alone. If that kind policeman had not called Avery from the station, I don't know what would have happened.
Do you need my medical attention, Mother?
I'm all right, son. Don't worry about me.
Why do you say Mary is visiting you, Mother? You know that's impossible.
Why should it be? Are you not standing in front of me right now? Why should it be any different with your sister?
But I'm not dead, Mother. I'm really here, talking to you, trying not to cry.
Oh, it breaks my heart to have to tell you this. But of course you're dead, my darling boy. Just look at you, as pale as my Mary.
But Mary really is dead, Mother.
Yes. And are you not dead too? Isn't your father dead? And my grandson, and my son-in-law, you're all gone. But you all still visit me from time to time.
Do you need anything, Mother? Can I help you?
I just want you to stay with me, Jonathan. Your room is ready. I asked Avery to make your bed.
I'll stay as long as I can, I promise. Do you need anything else?
Just one thing. Stop staring at me like that. As much as I love you, it breaks my heart to look at those empty and dead eyes.
Are you working on a new painting?
Not recently. I have trouble focusing on my subject and my mind quickly drifts. It's the same thing when I try to write poetry.
I recently met a talented painter with an excellent technique. I wish you two could meet. I'm sure you'd like her.
I'd be glad to meet her. What is her name? Is she famous? Is she dead too?
She's not famous, and her name is of no importance. And yes, she is also dead.
The important thing is, I hope you two get along. If she ever fancies meeting your mother, I'd be glad to welcome her into my home.
Goodbye, Mother. Try to rest now.
Goodbye, son. Please come back soon.
I remember Sunday walks in the park. Good evening, Avery.
Mr. Jonathan, I can't believe my own eyes. Oh, it's a miracle. We all thought you were... Oh, sir, your poor sister. What a tragedy.
I know, Avery. I know about my sister's murder.
Miss Reed expected you to return to assist with the funeral, right up until the last minute. Where have you been, Mr. Jonathan? We needed you here.
How is my mother?
Not well, I'm afraid, sir. Miss Reed is very fragile since the police brought her back home.
The police? What happened?
Miss Reed was found walking in the streets. She kept saying she had spoken with her son and daughter. She's resting now.
Has she received appropriate medical care?
I'm taking care of Miss Reed myself. Hospitals are so overwhelmed by the epidemic that they can only accept patients infected by influenza.
Perhaps we could arrange a short trip. Somewhere sunny, like France. She has always been very fond of France. I think leaving London could do her good.
I'm afraid Miss Reed is too frail for the moment. Recently, she started going out at night without remembering it. I have to watch her carefully.
Do you need medical attention, Avery?
Thank you, but I'm all right, sir.
What is the situation in this part of town?
For a time, the West End seemed spared by the epidemic. But the situation is getting much worse.
Have you no relatives anywhere? I'll understand if you want to take a few days to see family.
Your father managed to guarantee my earnings as long as I take care of this house, sir. My sisters are dead, and I've never met my nephews. I'll stay, sir.
I'm sorry I could not be here for Mary's funeral.
Your mother was strong, sir, but your support would have been appreciated. Apart from the priest and I, no one else attended your sister's funeral.
To be present at the funeral with you both was my dearest wish, Avery. But I'm sorry, I simply could not attend.
I would not dare to question your absence, Mr. Jonathan. All I can say is that we missed you a great deal during these difficult days.
Tell me the truth, Avery. Do you feel forced to stay here? Would you leave this house without the arrangement made by my father?
No, sir. I have nowhere else to go. And I promised your father I'd take care of his family as long as I lived.
This house is dead, Avery. There is a curse on this family. You really should consider leaving.
If only you could have been here sooner or more often. Maybe this house would not be that empty. But you're here now, sir, so my task is not over.
You have served this family extremely well, Avery. Your support during these terrible times is much appreciated.
Then I will stay. All I ask is that you take care of my own funeral if I die before the end of the epidemic. No mass grave, please, sir.
Do you really think I don't take enough care of my mother, Avery?
Yes, I do, Mr. Jonathan.
You clearly have something more to say. Speak your mind, Avery.
I know you work hard to help the sick, but what will you do once the epidemic is over?
I really don't know. I have always enjoyed seeing new horizons. Once the epidemic is over, it would be nice to leave London for a while.
I understand, Mr. Jonathan, but you have to realize that your mother needs you. Your next departure could break her heart.
I found an old letter written by my father and addressed to me. Do you know anything about it, Avery?
Your father wanted me to give you this letter for your 35th birthday, but you left for the war, and the letter remained in his office until tonight.
I realize now you knew my father better than I did. Do you know why he left, Avery? Did he ever speak to you about his departure?
No, sir. Mr. Reed was not exactly forthcoming. Perhaps this letter will give you the information you require.
Goodbye, Avery. Please watch over my mother until I return.
Of course, Mr. Jonathan. But please return as soon as possible.
Good evening, miss.
Oh my God, no. Please, Mr. Vampire, don't kill me. Please, no. I'm too young to die. I still have so much to offer this world.
Wait, no. Why do you think I would... What?
Don't worry, Dr. Reed. I know you wouldn't harm me. Mother told me you were in this part of town and might drop by.
Your mother?
My name is Charlotte, sir. Charlotte Ashbury. My mother taught me long ago how to recognize the signs that betray a vampire.
I understand she also taught you how to tease and gently mock innocent young Ekons. It's a pleasure to meet you, Miss Charlotte. What do you think about this part of town?
I was raised here, and I suppose it feels like home. You grew up in this part of town too, did you not?
Yes, I was born a few streets away.
A small world, is it not? Did you ever imagine that my mother was your neighbor all that time? That you could have met her in a dark alley at night?
You won't trick me twice, young lady. We both know Lady Ashbury never hunts or attacks prey at random.
Come on, Doctor. Don't tell me you never thought about that possibility. Her fangs on your neck. Oh, are you blushing, Dr. Reed?
Is there something that's bothering you?
Too much selfishness and individualism for my taste. Even when there was no epidemic.
Even if that's partly true, may I remind you that many charitable institutions are financed by the selfish and filthy rich.
I suppose you're right. But society must reform and renew itself, or we are all done for.
Do you need my medical attention, Charlotte?
I am fine, Dr. Reed.
What do you think about this part of town?
I was...
Tell me about your adoption.
What do you want to know?
Who are your real parents?
Elizabeth Ashbury is my real mother. She raised me and has taken care of me all my life. I have no idea who my progenitors are or were.
Do you live with her?
I still spend a lot of time in my mother's mansion, but I have my own house now. I have a life to live, you see. And one day, I'll have my death to face.
How did you meet Lady Ashbury?
First, I was an orphan in the institution for girls she manages in the West End. When I was 10, she adopted me, and I have lived with her ever since.
Did you know she was a vampire when she picked you?
The correct word is Ekon, Doctor. And no, I had no idea why my mother only showed up at night. She told me everything when I turned 16, though I suspected the truth for a long time before that.
What are you doing out here?
You mean, what do I do outside at night since I am a woman? Let me ask you a question, sir. Would you ask the same question of a man?
Actually, yes. I ask the same question to everyone who dares to go outside at night, considering the risks.
Well, if you must know, I campaign for the right to vote for all women. Why should I wait to the age of 30 years when men can vote at 21?
Are you a suffragette, then? Oh, you really are Elizabeth's girl. Without a doubt.
All adult women have the right to vote in the US, in New Zealand, and in Australia.
but women here can't vote unless they are property owners.
No need to convince me, Miss Charlotte. I have shared your opinion for a long time, even before I met Emmeline Pankhurst.
Really? Oh. Now I see why my mother appreciates you so much. Too bad there aren't more men like you in the vicinity.
How are the locals reacting to your claims?
People here can't wait for a wall to be built to isolate the West End from the rest of town. That's how progressive they are. If this happens, Emily and I will blow it up.
Explosives are very dangerous, young lady. And who is this Emily?
She is my best friend, and a suffragette too. She was supposed to campaign with me tonight, but hasn't turned up.
Have you any reason to be worried about her?
Recently, Emily started to believe in... well, she got interested in vampires. I'm afraid she might be in trouble.
Let me guess. You spoke to her about us, didn't you? Despite your mother's warning. I think I should try to find your friend.
Oh, that would be top-notch. I can tell you where she might have gone. You have my thanks, Dr. Reed. And please, don't tell my mother.
What exactly has your mother told you about me?
Your name and profession, obviously. And the mystery about your maker. I'm sorry to hear about what happened to your sister, sir. Mother says it was not your fault.
Does it not scare you to know what I am? What your mother is?
Why should it? My mother is the most compassionate woman. Must I be wary of her, Dr. Reed? Or you?
Perhaps it's wise for a mortal never to totally trust a vampire. Your mother herself told me that we Ekon are creatures of deception. Maybe it's because we seem so... alive.
That may be true for a naive girl, but I have the best teacher when it comes to getting rid of an insistent immortal.
Your mother is not like any other vampire I've met.
I believe she thinks the same about you, Dr. Reed.
Do you know why Lady Ashbury chose you to become her daughter?
No, I don't. Each time I ask her that question, she smiles and says it's precisely because I dare to ask such questions.
Do you ever regret that she chose you?
Of course not. Though I often wonder if she adopted others before me. If so, where are they buried? How was it for them to pass through life with a never-aging mother?
Your mother has refused to turn you into a vampire. Tell me more about it.
Each time we argue, Mother expresses the same fear. She wants me to remain alive and full of joy, rather than become melancholy and immortal. She claims you can't have one without the other. It's pure selfishness.
It's your mother's choice. As daughters and sons, we have to accept the decisions our parents make for us despite our own wishes.
I love my mother, and have accepted everything from her. Even that she named me Charlotte, when it was not my original name.
Does it bother you?
No. Whoever I was when I was born, I am now Charlotte Ashbury. It hurts as much as it makes me proud to know that's the name my mother will read on my tombstone.
Your mother has walked this earth for much longer than you or I. She is wise, and we should not ignore her advice when we disagree with it.
But why shouldn't I be allowed to forge my own experience? There can't be only one righteous way to deal with eternity.
Why do you still hope to become a vampire, in spite of your mother's refusal?
It's the immortal aspect of vampires that interests me. The world won't improve unless women take charge. I'm convinced of that.
You're obviously a clever woman with a good education and a brilliant future. But have you thought about the price you'd have to pay? The loneliness, the necessary masquerade.
Is it not true of every high position? To change this world and make it a better place, one needs time on one's side.
Tell me, Charlotte, how do you plan to achieve eternal life, since you've obviously given it a lot of thought?
I won't give up. You have no idea how determined I am, sir. I may contract a deadly disease. I may throw myself under a carriage just to be saved by her sweet kiss.
That's a disturbing answer, young lady. And the worst part of it is, I know you speak the truth.
There are less dangerous ways, Doctor. Instead of throwing myself under a horse like Emily Davison, I could just throw myself into your arms.
Be careful what you wish for, young lady. I could gaze at you right now and then take you to a shady corner and have my way with you. And leave your carcass to the rats.
You wouldn't dare. My mother would know. She'd never forgive you.
How could she suspect me? Do you know how many vampires are lurking in the city tonight as we speak? Vampires with a worse sense of humor than mine.
Oh, my God. For 1 second I thought you actually... Excellent, Dr. Reed. Very convincing.
Do you need my medical attention, Charlotte?
I am fine, Dr. Reed.
Goodbye, Charlotte. Give my best regards to your mother when you see her.
She's been quite busy these last few nights. I suspect you may see her before me.
You listening? Over there! There's... Fuck, it's fast!
Turn around.
It's one of them! Die, vermin!
Christ, it's dead!
We have to stop it! Get your weapons ready! We found one! Filthy pieces!
More braille. I should bring this to Mason Swanborough.
Go back home! Your prey is mine now! You're bleeding!
is despicable.
Your blood is now mine. I will. Die, newborn!
Louise's father was determined to find and save her. What a mess. Something terrible happened here. But what? There has been a fight here. I can see a blood trail. Left by one of the antagonists, perhaps? Maybe there's a way to break into this house. I can't believe I'm doing this. I have this thirst for blood.
Get him with... Over there! There's one of them vermin!
I cannot enter. It's locked.
Keep me locked in here! Disgusting arsehole! Have you not? I'll never be alright! How long are you gonna keep me locked in here?
There's no
How
match
long
for
are you
me!
gonna keep me locked in here? Let me go, you bastard! How long are you gonna keep me locked in here? Disgusting asshole! Vampire or not, I'll never be your wife! How long are you gonna keep me locked in here? Let me go, you bastard! Disgusting asshole! Vampire or not, I'll never be your wife! How long are you gonna keep me locked in? Let me go, you bastard! Disgusting asshole! Vampire or not, I'll never be your wife! Let me go, you bastard!
Hello? Is anyone there?
Jonathan, is that you? I did not know you were back in London. Oh, my dear Johnny, I'm so sorry for your loss. Mary was such a sweetheart.
Thank you, Venus. May I come in?
I was going to bed, actually.
Forgive me. With the epidemic, I tend to forget people are supposed to sleep at night.
I'll tell you what. Come back tomorrow for tea. I'll be glad to see you then.
Someone you know. Even someone you're close to.
Good evening, sir. May I have your attention, please?
Come on, Johnny. Don't you recognize your oldest friend?
Clarence. Clarence Crossley. How are you? My God. So you survived the war too. So sorry I didn't recognize you at first.
I almost didn't recognize you either. War does that to men, I heard. In my case, it was true, for I witnessed the horror that lies underneath.
When did you escape the war and return to London?
You know what's funny? I almost never think about the war. Not anymore. I'm involved in another kind of battle now.
I know what you mean. I haven't had much time to think about the war either since my return.
Of course. With the epidemic, I bet you've been busy as well. Forgive me, Johnny, I didn't want to sound selfish.
What is this new battle?
I saw terrible things during the war. Horrors I thought I'd forget. They're here too. They're everywhere. Vampires.
How is your wife, Venus?
We've spent so much time away from each other, and so many things have happened.
But you're alive. You returned in one piece and you have a family. How many soldiers can say the same?
Believe me, it's not quite that simple. Unlike you, I'm not the man I used to be.
Is everything all right at home? Surely Venus was relieved to see you return from France in one piece.
Have you forgot what people are like in this part of town, Johnny? Venus fears for our family reputation. Now her husband has become the village idiot.
You need some rest, Clarence. You should try to sleep.
Women of all countries unite.
Kills all you steady boys! We've got one of them here! It's want some of that?
Hello again, Mr. Thatcher.
Yes,
Mr. Thatcher, do you have a job?
No. Since I came back from the war, I spent most of my time and energy just trying to forget.
I understand what you mean. I was a soldier too.
No. Nobody can truly understand what I've gone through.
Why were you locked in that sewer? What happened?
I went by the canal after an argument with a friend. Got chased by these fucking wankers and had to barricade myself in, despite my claustrophobia.
Why did you run? What was the reason for your argument?
Newton wanted me to go to a hospital, but I can't stand being closed in. Makes me feel like I'm suffocating.
Tell me about your claustrophobia. Has anyone given you an official diagnosis?
That's what the bloody doctors said. But I don't want to go to a hospital to get checked again. I'll deal with it my own way.
Oswald, why did you not go to the Pembroke Hospital to seek medical help?
I don't trust doctors. All they care about is their careers and processes. I won't be locked in any room again by anyone.
Your fear of being trapped is not going to go away by itself. You need professional help.
I've seen enough butchers in white coats to last a lifetime. Hospitals reek of chemicals and death. What I need is fresh air.
Do you want to talk about why you have this fear of being enclosed, Mr. Thatcher?
No, I really don't.
An irrational fear like yours is usually rooted in a specific event. Perhaps it would help to talk about it.
Well, Doctor, take a guess then if you're so interested in my case.
Perhaps you were trapped or locked in somewhere as a child. The horror of war could have brought this memory back to the surface.
Are you joking? I grew up on a farm, had a bloody fantastic childhood.
Are you concerned about the conditions here in London?
Not really. Sick people, men in arms, fighting every night. I already faced all this during the war.
Do you need medical attention?
Don't get me wrong, sir. I'm grateful for what you've done, but I've never felt comfortable with doctors.
I'm certain you have your reasons. But let me assure you, I'm not like other doctors you may have consulted with.
It is true. You risked your life to save me, after all. It would be impolite to refuse your counsel.
Goodbye, Mr. Thatcher. Try to take care of yourself. Hello again, Mr. Blight. I'm happy to see Mr. Thatcher is safe, for now.
I'm eternally grateful, Doctor. We were total strangers and you helped us anyway. Can't thank you enough, sir.
Why do you stay here now that Mr. Thatcher's back?
It's complicated. Since the war, Oswald's been really nervous with the idea of entering any hospital. And me, I've got my own issues.
Can you speak about them?
Rats, sir. Even seeing one, they turn me. Just want to run. It's that fear that stopped me from going after Oswald when he left.
What can you tell me about the war, Mr. Blight? If you want to speak about it, of course.
War was... well, you know, sir. The stench of death everywhere. Your mates lying bleeding in the mud. Just praying to make it through and get home. Bloody nightmare.
Did you know Oswald Thatcher before the war?
No. We met in the battlefield. I think we're in the same boat to France. We've stuck together ever since.
I fought in France, too. I served as a field surgeon, but it was not uncommon to repel an assault, especially at night.
Yeah. The first time I was wounded, I had to protect the infirmary from hostiles. Twice.
You are always welcome at the Pembroke Hospital. As a former officer, I'll be honored to welcome a fellow veteran.
I'm not giving up on bringing Oswald back to the hospital. I just need to convince him that he needs some help.
Perhaps he needs to reach that decision by himself.
Could you speak to him? He doesn't usually listen to doctors, but perhaps because you've been through it, You can talk him round.
Are you concerned about the living conditions in the city?
Of course I am. I'll be stuck here for as long as Oswald refuses to go to hospital. And, unfortunately, it seems the violence is rising.
What kind of violence?
I believe people have armed themselves and started to attack those that show signs of contagion.
What caused your phobia of rats, Newton?
It happened last year following an artillery attack. I was trapped for 2 days in a hole under 2 dead soldiers. And there were rats.
Go on.
It started eating me as soon as I dozed. Gnawing at my ears, my fingers, lips. I couldn't move. Couldn't call for help.
I see.
No, you don't. You have no idea what it is to wake up buried under bodies. Fucking vermin eating your flesh. Oswald. He found me and saved me.
Do you need medical attention, sir?
Afraid so. In the war, I was always worried about picking up something, getting some infection. Unfortunately, I've got that fear in London now.
Throughout history, some diseases have done more damage to armies than any weapon created by man. You were wise to be careful.
You're working at the Pembroke Hospital, aren't you? That's a good enough reason for me and Oswald to go there.
Goodbye, Mr. Blight. Take care of yourself.
Killed, extorted, stole. Now I die. Fuck it. I'll live the way I wanted.
Good evening, Miss. I'll leave you, Mistress of the Dark. Good evening. Do you require my
condition.
Well, until the day science finally...
Thank you, Doctor.
I'll leave you, Mistress of the Dark, to your nocturnal activity. Good evening, Mr. Elwood.
Evening, Dr. Reid.
Soldier.
I'm fine.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Elwood.
The pain. It's here again.
Time has lost its effect on me. But the suffering continues.
Good evening, Dr. Strickland. Did you know Dr. Aykroyd never reported your experimental research, despite the fact he doesn't agree with it?
Really? I didn't suspect he knew about my work. I must confess I am surprised.
Perhaps he thinks you should realize for yourself the danger of what you're doing.
See how condescending he can be? My God, he can be so irritating.
Do you need my medical
I
attention?
would have been confused if any...
There is no shame in helping each other. We're colleagues, after all.
Many doctors I have known are too cynical.
Goodbye, Doc. Good evening, Mr.
Good evening, Doctor.
All I wanted was to go back to work, to take care of my children.
Good evening, Dr. Reed. Such a pleasure to see you again. Please, of course. Never see. Good evening.
Do you need
Well, the pro...
Don't take too many risks.
And that...
Goodbye, Mr. Chidana.
Never see.
Good evening, Doctor.
Goodbye, Mrs. Goswick.
I'm okay.
Do you need any help?
I'm afraid I may, sir.
You are not a burden, sir.
And you have my
I have to...
Good evening, sir. Doctor.
Good evening, Dr. Tibbets.
Dr. Reed,
Do you need any medical...
yes, indeed.
I have no doubt about it, but you are still ill all...
I appre...
Good.
Another night.
They belong to daily
The life running.
It's locked, all right. It's locked, all right. Good evening, Mr. Elwood.
Evening.
So this is how it ends. Farewell, my life, you betrayed me, God.
Good evening, Miss Howcroft.
Not well. Eternity.
Mr. Elwood. Yes, I know about his death.
His blood now runs through this decaying body. I see things much more clearly now. I've even started to sense things about you.
Do you think about Thomas's death sometimes?
Every night. I didn't want to kill him. I liked him. Now people will hunt me down.
You're no murderer, trust me. Only a fool would believe otherwise.
How long before other mortals start hunting me? As always, blood is the only price for blood.
You're safe as long as you stay in the hospital. No one will hunt you here, I promise.
These walls will not protect me, Doctor. They will never forget the crime I've done. And nor will I.
You didn't kill Thomas. It is time for you to open your eyes and see the reality of your condition.
You are right, Dr. Reed. I have to face what I have done. And what I am. Alas, I can't change that, can I? I am what I am. For eternity.
And what exactly have you learned about me?
You're cold, Doctor. As cold as those steel blades you surgeons wield so nimbly. Sometimes, I wonder if you have any feelings at all.
That's quite a statement, Miss Howcroft.
But there is more, isn't there? Your interest for my condition. Your subtle innuendos. Are we the same, Doctor?
No. I'm worse than you, Thelma. We both pretend to be something we're not. But my deceptions are far more malignant.
For once I sense real honesty in your voice, Dr. Reed. Somehow that frightens me.
Judging by the look in your eyes, there is something you want to ask me, Miss Howcroft.
Listen to my voice, Jonathan. You can't refuse to answer my questions. Speak now. Tell me about you and that fancy red-headed lady.
You mean Lady Ashbury? What about her?
Don't resist me. Answer now, Doctor. What's really going on between you two?
I love her. I love her dearly. It's that simple.
Now, Jonathan. I want you to forget we had this little conversation. You can get back to what you were doing. Beware, child of the night, for I shall come back and have my vengeance.
Good evening, Dr. Tibbets.
Dr. Reed. sorry, Nurse Brannigan. I won't witness the great doctor you were destined to be.
Good evening.
Do you require medical...
Do you know?
Despite...
Well, at least...
Goodbye, Mrs. Goswick. Good evening.
You're the last...
I see that you are...
Are you really going to ask me why? That would just be more evidence of your selfishness.
How do you think these recent events will affect the Pembroke Hospital?
I am not blind. There is something strange about you and Dr. Swansea. One day you'll have to provide answers.
Don't you think the epidemic is enough to deal with, without wasting time on insults and suspicions?
Yes, the epidemic. Convenient, isn't it? Just like the war, really. Hundreds are already dying, so who cares about one more?
You are troubled by the death of your patient. I understand. It is something that haunts everybody in our profession.
Harvey Fiddick died inside these walls, under our watch. We failed him, all of us.
Do you need my...
Don't be ridiculous.
Then you are lucky that I have...
I wish there's...
What do you think of Dr. Tippett's opinion of your promotion, Waverley?
Who cares? How could I ask for a promotion after we let a patient be killed? That would be disgraceful.
Thank you.
How can I be sure I'll not find your unconscious body in the house again?
I promise you, you'll not find my unconscious body.
For God's sake, how can you say such a thing?
How can you refuse to listen? I tried to warn you for so long.
No, I won't let my only son die. You promised me you'll stay alive.
Your son lied to you, like the whole world lies to us.
Good evening.
Evening, Doc. again soon, and we will be serene and beautiful.
Hello again, Mr. Blight.
Good evening, Dr. Reid. You doing your rounds as usual?
How do you feel about Oswald Thatcher? You are more than friends, aren't you?
I love him. I love Oswald. We knew we wouldn't survive the war without each other. But I am terrified, Doctor.
What frightens you so much?
What if people find out? Oswald says I'm ashamed, but it ain't that. It's more, well, you know, I never thought I'd love a man.
I won't say a word, Mr. Blight. Your secret is safe with me.
I fought for my country and I survived. I saw my comrades die. And now society tells me I'm a criminal for who I love. It makes me so angry.
You and Oswald were buried alive during the war. Tell me about it.
Yeah. It was last summer. A shell hit our trench and we were buried for a week.
Oswald seemed far more traumatized than you by the event.
It wasn't the first time it happened to me. And surviving it again gave me strength. You believe that?
How did you survive for a week?
Luckily for us, there were rations and water in the tunnel. It was an outpost, see? Since then, Oswald's not keen on being inside for too long. Oswald, I'm sorry to leave you alone. Avenge me, my love.
Good evening, Mr. Goswell.
I'm okay.
Admit it, Mortimer. Your mother had you hospitalized here because you tried to kill yourself.
Yes, it's true.
All right, then. This is the first time we've really shared information about your case. Shall we call this progress?
Call it what you want, Dr. Reid.
You can trust me. I won't report you to the authorities. My one and only concern is your health.
I guess I should thank you, then.
Can I help you in any way, Mr. Goswick?
I wrote a letter for my mother. She was supposed to read it after my death. But I suppose she doesn't have to read it now.
I see. And is this letter still near the place where you tried to take your own life?
Yes. And I don't want anyone reading my last words. I mean, I'm still here. If you bring me back that letter, then perhaps we'll talk.
I have to go now.
Good evening, sir. Doctor.
In this letter, Mortimer Goswick doesn't... nothing to hide his desire to die. I could give it to his mother, but doing so would betray his trust. It's locked. It's locked, all right.
Good evening, Doctor. How is my son doing?
Your son wished to die, Beatrice. Why did you hide such crucial information?
Are you not aware suicide is a crime? Mortimer could be thrown in jail. I can't let that happen. I won't.
I understand you fear the legal consequences, Mrs. Goswick. But don't you realize your silence significantly affects your son's case?
All my son needs is help and comprehension. Not judgment and punishment for what he may or may not have done.
Mortimer is extremely vague as to his motivations for committing suicide. Tell me more about what you know.
As you say, Mortimer had no reason to die. All he said to me was that he wanted to make the world a better place, but couldn't.
Why did your son feel so useless when facing the world?
I think it was more that he could only see the melancholy facets of life. He couldn't help but dwell on such things.
What do you think he meant by making the world a better place?
Mortimer has always been a sensitive soul. He wouldn't talk to anyone for months after his father passed. It's like he carries everyone's sadness with him.
I have read your son's suicide note. It was not an impulsive gesture, nor was it his first attempt.
He threatened to kill himself a few times before. But I never thought he would dare to punish me this much.
Punish you? Why?
I've known for a long time he was not happy with his life. But I always hoped he cared enough to avoid making me suffer like this.
Do you realize your son could try to kill himself again? He might succeed next time.
I think about it every minute. But I won't stop fighting for my son's future. That's how much I love him.
You're right. Your son's death was not fatal. And unlike many on their own, he is lucky to have you by his side.
I can't give up on him. I just can't. I have conceded many times in my life, but giving up on my son is something I am incapable of.
Your son asked me to find this letter, Mrs. Goswick. However, I thought it would be preferable to give it to you.
I already know what I'm going to read. Mortimer, why are you acting in this way? I have done everything I can to help you, but it's not enough.
We will talk about this letter later. I understand that you need some privacy.
Before you leave, take this for your trouble. Thanks to you, my son still has a future. Perhaps.
Goodbye, Mrs. Goswick. Good evening, Miss...
I'm okay.
Your mother won't let you down, Mortimer. Don't you share her hope for a better future?
No. I don't.
Won't you even try?
Do you want me to promise you I'll get better? Do you want me to tell her the same thing? I could, but it would not change anything.
I've read your letter, Mortimer. You wrote about an unbearable feeling of despair while the world crumbles around you. Tell me more about it.
There's nothing more to say, really. It's hurtful, it's unbearable, and I don't ask anyone to understand what I feel.
The world is bleak, but maybe the pain we feel is the best compass for making it a better place.
How can we repair the world, Dr. Reid, when mankind is the biggest problem? Yes, the world will be a much better place when we're gone. Feel the peace I was looking for. Mother, were you right all along? I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Good evening, Dr. Strickland.
Have you seen any suspicious activity in the vicinity, Dr. Reed?
No more than usual.
This is no laughing matter, Dr. Reed. A patient of mine has been murdered. Mr. Fiddick is dead. I should have been more cautious.
Why are you blaming yourself for the death of Mr. Fiddick?
It is our fault. Mr. Fiddick has stayed longer than needed here because Dr. Ackroyd and I could not agree on the correct treatment.
This argument has nothing to do with his death. He was murdered.
But if we had performed the surgery sooner, he would have left the hospital and avoided this fate.
What is troubling you so much, Dr. Strickland? Is there something else?
I had to meet face to face with the son and daughter of Mr. Fiddick this afternoon. Their eyes. I could barely stand before their accusing gaze.
This difficult task is part of our job, Dr. Strickland. It's our responsibility.
I know. As I also know they'll never get the answer to the question they daren't ask. They were the embodiment of cold fatalism.
Goodbye, Dr. Strickland. Good evening, Mrs. Goswick. How are you feeling?
Spare me your false compassion. It won't change all the bad publicity I intend to shine upon this toxic place. I knew this place was bad from the start.
What do you mean by a toxic place?
I hold you responsible, sir. You and everyone else in this shameful hospital. I was a fool to bring my Mortimer here. A fool.
A fool? What do you mean by that?
He tried to kill himself. I had him hospitalized in this secluded place to avoid a legal inquiry. And now he's been murdered.
Why hide his suicidal tendencies?
Mortimer was already so fragile. To be arrested for a suicide attempt would have killed him.
But he died anyway.
Violently murdered, yes. My poor boy escaped tragedy only to face an even worse fate.
I found your son's suicide note, Beatrice. Maybe you'd like to read it.
Stop torturing me, Dr. Reed. It's too much. Do you have no heart?
I just wanted you to know that Mortimer wrote this letter for you.
I am going to tell everyone about this damned hospital. I will warn them about the cruelty, indifference, and danger this place represents.
I don't expect you to believe me, but I admire your courage. I really do.
I never gave up on my son. Despite everything he's done, everything he has said, I thought I could save him, even from himself.
You aren't going to stay here forever, Mrs. Goswick. What are you going to do after your crusade against the hospital?
I'll stay as long as I want to, sir. I'm rich, very rich, and I intend to spend all my money to close this place down. That's my plan.
Goodbye, Mrs. Goswick.
Easy does it, boys. We can deal with this vermin. Over there!
Good evening, Harry. May I come in?
Sure. Sure. Even my dreams are soaked with gloom.
So,
I'm not bothered.
have you any recent news of Nurse Crane and her dispensary?
Nobody dares to enter the dispensary now. Rumours say the nurse has gone mad.
Do you need any medical help, young man?
Yes, I do. I feel so tired.
You'll feel better with this. But you need to get a...
I'm not sure I'm happy with the idea of living long in a world like this.
Good.
Is there only pain and suffering in this world?
You again?
How is the sanitary situation in Whitechapel?
I'm not easily scared, but crazy killers and armed patrols are lurking about. My son's right about this place.
Can I offer you my medical expertise?
Keep your medicine.
There is a thin line between pride...
All right. I'll touch...
Goodbye.
Don't be afraid. Cheap price, good quality. Come on, take a look. Don't be afraid.
You know... How are the current conditions in Whitechapel?
When there's more people outside at night than during the day, then you've got to start to worry.
Do you need help?
To be honest,
I don't...
really.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Lewis. Mr.
Evening.
How are conditions in Whitechapel at present?
The way this sickness is spreading, I don't think there'll be enough new bloods to replace those tenants I'm losing from this bloody thing.
Since I took an oath...
Well...
Infecting...
What?
Goodbye. Good evening, Benjamin. Can I help you? How are conditions in Whitechapel these days?
I hear gunshots every night. It's just like the war in the trenches, Doctor. I can't stand it.
You don't seem well, Benjamin.
I always feel ill, sir. It's like I'm never...
I can try to help your body heal, sir. But you must stop destroying it.
The war destroyed me, Doctor.
A gun?
Good evening, my...
You look ill. Well, there you have it. Take this remedy, but be discreet. It may damage your business otherwise.
Thank you.
Goodbye, Miss Swanborough. Perhaps we'll talk again. How are you?
I'm not your
Have conditions improved in Whitechapel?
I'm ready for whatever's coming.
Do you need a sit?
Please.
There you go.
Very funny.
Goodbye, young man.
Everything.
Its effectiveness has been proven by many.
Don't be afraid. Cheap price, good quality. Come on, take a look.
The walls of your home will not protect you, for there is no protection against malevolence and trickery.
Good evening.
How are conditions in Whitechapel at the moment?
I always thought it was my role to reveal what really happens in these forgotten parts of London.
And you're not sure anymore?
Emptied coffins, cannibalism, walking dead. I'm trying to report the truth about what's going on, but no one believes it anymore.
Do you need assistance?
That would be nice of you, Doc.
If you persist in investigating the most pox-ridden boroughs of London, you must accept the risks.
Thank you, sir.
Goodbye, Mr. Darby. Farewell. Hello again, miss. Tell me, Camellia, how are things now the dispensary is closed? Very well. Good evening, Mr. Nib.
And good evening to you too, Mike.
How is the sanitary situation evolving in Whitechapel these days?
I imagine we are all part of some nightmare without beginning nor ending. If only the dreamer could awake.
Do you need medical attention, sir?
It may be wise to...
The
nutrition...
Change.
Could this be the scarf you lost, Miss Popper?
It is much more than a scarf to me. It is the only thing that connects me to my family and my country. Thank you so much.
How are the conditions in Whitechapel these days?
When I think about all the people who died trying to reach England, it seems we escaped a war just to die on foreign shores, hated by all.
Do you need any assistance?
It depends on the price of... Forgive my sister.
Goodbye, miss.
People are talking about this Colossus. But the city is doomed.